My name is Christy, and this is Angel Talk, where the archangels are real, relevant, and accessible to everyone. I'm so glad you're here. Let's talk. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Christy Michelle Riggs, and this is Angel Talk. And happy July. How are you guys doing out there? I feel like July has a little bit of a different energy to it. I don't know what it is. I'm still kind of feeling it out. There's still an intensity to it, almost more of an intensity, but it's different. It's different. Or at least that's my experience so far. I want to apologize that this is coming to you late. I have had some technical difficulties that I would like to be able to blame on, Mercury retrograde or something like that. But because that would be far less frustrating, then I could just kind of accept that and roll with it. But as I've shared with you before, the technical side of this thing is not my lane at all. It's really kind of almost comical. I tell people like it has to be a divine calling on my life to do this, and to do it through this medium and this way, because there's definitely a learning curve there. My mother was kind enough to get me a laptop. The laptop that I'd been using, I didn't have access to anymore, and my mother just is a champ. And I'm getting ready to be 41 years old, and she still, if I need something or she knows that something would make my life a little bit easier, she'll jump right in and do it, and oftentimes go without herself to help me out. And so I was very, very grateful for the gift. And I could not get my microphone to get along with and play nicely with the new laptop. And the microphone that was built into the laptop, it was just kind of a smaller, sort of I guess what you'd call like an entry-level laptop. And the microphone on it was just not, very good quality, especially for doing something like this. And, between my accent and the fact that I have not a clue what I'm doing when I go to edit these things, the microphone becomes clutch to get a clear and easier to understand message out there to you guys. So at any rate, I sat, frustrated and trying this, that, and everything, and had not a clue what I was doing, and just kept pushing buttons and plugging and unplugging and trying different things and downloading all kinds. I made a total mess of it, and kind of got into this headspace of, the ego crept in, and I kind of had this little frustrated, poor, pitiful me. Maybe I shouldn't even just be doing this. I don't even know why I'm. And God love the angels. Metatron stepped in and said, "Did you bother to ask us what might be wrong with it?" And I was kind of like, No, I didn't. And so then I, it's like, well, could you help me out? Could you tell me what's wrong with it? And he said, he's got a great sense of humor. I have to give Metatron that. He says, "Are you sure you want to know? Are you sure you don't want to, sit down there and have some more self-loathing and self-deprecation and and all that kind of thing. You want to do that for a little bit longer?" And I was like, "No, no, I think I'm done." And so he said, "Check the screen. Look at the screen of the laptop." And I'm looking at it, and and then I see it, and at the top, like where the lid meets, like where the screen is, it's like popped open. And this is a brand new laptop, and it's like popped open, and it is obviously, there's obvious like damage there, and the laptop was starting to act real wonky in other ways other than the microphone too. Like this thing was starting to type without me touching it, but I thought that it was because of all of the stuff that I had done to try to fix the microphone. I thought I had done something to cause that. And so, as it turns out, what had appeared to have happened was that maybe somebody had purchased it and returned it. And I don't know what they did to it when they had it, or maybe it came from the factory that way. I don't know. But so finally this morning, after very little sleep and an unnecessary amount of frustration, because I could have just asked the angels that 12 hours prior to that and saved myself a whole lot of that whole episode and all of that. I could have saved all of that. And so I took it back to the store, and they did not have the same laptop for me to just exchange it. And the only ones that they had left in stock, because their stock was very, very, very low because of the COVID-19 and getting shipment and all that kind of thing in. And the manager of the electronics department, when they just didn't have anything that was either the same or comparable in price and features. And the ones that they did have, the few that they did have left in stock, were just out of my price range for purchase this morning, and the electronics manager was so very nice. And when she saw my despair, I guess, of just like, what am I going to do now? I gotta, I don't know I don't know what to do. And I said to her, I really have to have something. Could we call, maybe a nearby store, or maybe I could drive, a little ways down the road and pick one up or something like that. And I started to, she said, "You need it for work?" And I said, "Well, it's what I do for a living. I wouldn't call it work." And, then that kind of started a whole conversation about why I needed the laptop. And she was so kind. She went over to, like the locked cases where she had the few left that she had. And she traded my laptop for one. She traded the one that I brought back for one that was far more expensive, has all the bells and whistles. It's a bigger screen. It has more memory. It does a lot of things that I don't know what they mean, but I'm going to learn and figure it out. And it is the most beautiful color of like sapphire blue, almost a navy blue. And I've never seen a computer that color before. And if you've been to the website, you or anyone that's close to me or that has been in my home knows that is just one of my very, very favorite colors. And I've done the whole website with that as the main color. And my office, my workspace here in my home is, it mimics and matches that. And then I have that color just all throughout the house. I feel very connected to Archangel Michael through that color. And so when she handed me that, and it, and she was telling me all of the things that it comes with, and I was just in disbelief and just in shock. And I am so grateful for her kindness and for, you know, I don't know what to say really, other than I'm just very grateful. And um, I've been having experiences like that just for like a lot, just within the last couple of days, where you know the energies are really starting to it's happening, and I can see it, and I'm experiencing it, and I just wanted to share that with you guys to let you know that it's turning around. I know that there are a lot of things still happening, and a lot of uh, you know, really lower level, lower energy, kind of things that still have to get turned around and still have to stop. Um, but in my little town in Kentucky, I'm really starting to experience a shift in the energy, and I'm just really humbled by it, and I'm really proud of us. I'm really proud of us star seeds, us light workers, those of us on the path that have come here to do this and to anchor this light and to do whatever by any means necessary. And what by any means necessary has meant for many of us has not been easy, to say the least. And we're doing it because it's the right thing to do, you know. Not in order to get any kind of a benefit or a reward or anything like that for doing it. But it sure is nice, and it sure is amazing and awesome how Spirit has worked this whole thing together for our good. And just the laws that govern the whole universe, that when you put good out there, it may take a minute because it's got to get through some really dense energy, but it will make its way back to you and be magnified. And I can't put it into words really. I'm so very humbled that I'm starting to experience that. I'm starting to see that. I'm starting to, have experiences and blessings and people just very rapidly. I mean, especially just within like the last week or two, brought into my life at a time when I really, really, really needed it, and I'm just so very grateful for it. So I hope that you guys are starting to experience some of that, in small or big ways. It all matters, and please share that with me in the comments, or if you want to send me a private message, you can use the form on the website to get in touch. But please share with me some of the ways that is starting to happen for you, and be on the lookout for little things, what we think are little things. There are no big or little things, but start to really see through the lens of blessings and miracles, and you'd be surprised how they're all around you, and you've not been noticing them. And the more that you notice them, the more and more and more that that will be what your experience will be. And it's just a really neat thing. It's a really neat thing to sit here and just kind of look around and think, wow, I'm so thankful that God is who He says He is, that this whole universe will work together for our good, and that we will have the backing of the entire universe when we get into alignment with, shining our light and shedding the old, and just, it's really pretty simple. Just be good to yourself and be good to others. It's really pretty simple. We make it a lot more complicated, I think, than it has to be. The angels have worked with me a lot on that over the last couple of years. That, I've heard that from Metatron especially a lot. You're making it too hard. I said, Christy, you're making it too hard. And then as he works with me and walks me through that, sure enough, I didn't have to go through all the things that I was trying to do. It didn't require all of that. So I just wanted to share that with you, and encourage you to look around for the blessings and the shift in energy in your lives as well. We have a lot to talk about today. We're going to be talking about the month of July, and Metatron has worked with me over this last week to bring the messages through, and the teaching through I worked with he started to give me the messages, and then I worked with the Archangel Metatron Self-Mastery Oracle deck. It's a wonderful deck. I had wanted it for a long time, and it had been on back order, and it finally came in, and I was so excited, and it was just divine right timing just for these messages, and for Metatron to be the one to bring those through. So we're going to start by talking just a little bit about sort of the highlights of July, some of the things that are going to be going on with the astrology, and what energies are going to be available to us with that. And then once we touch on that for just a little bit and kind of frame these messages up, then we'll get into sharing. I'll share with you the guidance that the angels are offering to us for the month of July. And I'll tell you, it is, I'm really excited to share this with you, because it's big and it's profound, and it's one of the most like expanding messages that I've brought through in a really long time. And if we can really integrate this, it's going to bring about change like we can't even imagine. So I'm very excited to share it with you. So I've been working really closely with Metatron for this last week to bring all of this through and unpack it. And when I work with Metatron, when I get these messages from Metatron, a lot of times that's how it happens. It will come through like in segments. Because I'll tell you, Metatron, he never disappoints. He is the angel that can really help us to understand and integrate these complex, higher dimensional, metaphysical, like laws of the universe, and these things that seem like, at first glance, like they're out of our reach to be able to understand, or like that it's pretty far out there, or maybe like above where we can comprehend or make sense of it or apply it to anything that we're familiar with. And he will take that, information and show us that just how even though it's complex, that it when you work with it and you break it down, it is simple to understand, and it does make sense how it pertains to us directly. And so whenever I work with him, to bring these messages through and to understand something that's got a lot, it's very dynamic, it's got a lot of moving pieces to it. you know, it's a really cool experience because like I can really, he does it in a way that I can like see and appreciate the complexity of it. But like I said, while also being able to integrate that information in a very practical and relevant and personal way, here in the earth plane. And he will give us, like awarenesses that really expand our consciousness and really stretch and grow, and push our boundaries, what we think feel like our boundaries are. He'll help us to stretch those and to grow our perception, and our understanding of, how all of this is working, kind of behind the scenes mechanically, so to speak. And then he will help us to access the tools that we already have within, that Source wired us up with. We're just remembering, where they are and how to use them. And he's the angel that will really, really help us with, accessing those tools, and then to be able to apply those concepts and those awarenesses, like I said, in a very practical way. Now, I will say, when we work with Metatron, we are really, we're going to be asked to really step out of fear and step out of the ego. We're going to be asked to level up to a much higher place of consciousness. We're going to be asked to stretch outside of our comfort zones and to be in more of those, higher upper chakras, and to bring more of that online, to, activate more of the DNA, and to integrate more of our higher selves into our physical, earthly, corporeal selves. And so when we work with Metatron, we got to come strong. We got to come willing and desiring to stretch and grow. And we got to check our ego at the door and really be open to these new awarenesses, and open to a new way of doing things, and open to things that might challenge us and make us feel uncomfortable, and that might be difficult for us to do in the moment. But he will be right there to help, guide us through that and show us how, and then he will be like your biggest cheerleader on the other side of that, when you realize that you can do it, and you realize what it took, and you realize the effects that it had, and what a good thing that was or is. He will be your biggest cheerleader, to say, I knew you could do it. I knew you could do it. Look how much you've grown. Look how much you've expanded. Oh my gosh, it's, but now he's not, his energy is not one, that there's not, like, the way I experience it, there's not a lot of fluff. He expects you to show up, level up, let's do this. It's time to heal. It's time to let that stuff go. It's time for a new way. Because what's your alternative? You want to still sit down there and stew in the lower consciousness and the lower vibration, and be a victim and hurt and kill each other off and be terrible to the earth, the only home you have that's given you so much. Is that what you want to continue to do, or do you want to show up and level up and be ready to do this. That's how he's presented it to me in just a very matter-of-fact way on many occasions. And it's like, no, I want to show up and level up, and I want to do, and I trust that you'll show me how, and he will, and he does. So working with this energy can be a little bit intense sometimes, just because, like I said, you really have to, it'll call you to level up, with no excuses, no distractions, no distortions, no illusions or delusions. You will, working with his energy, I don't want to use the word forces, because the angels never force us to do anything. But if you're there wanting and willing to work with his energy, what it requires of you, what it requires of us is to just really push the boundaries of what's comfortable. I'll say that. And to push the boundaries of what we think that we're capable of doing. And it's really very amazing to work with his energy. I'm really grateful that he's been with me for so very long. He's been with me back as far as my earliest memories, before I even knew he was an angel. And but I always knew he was good. And when there was no other voice there to tell me that I could do, or that I was capable, or that I could do hard things, his was there. And still, still is. And I'm just really grateful for that. So working with his energy is really, it's a unique experience, and that's another reason that I'm just doubly glad to bring this message through. This is a wonderful message, and bringing it through from him, and getting to share that energy, his energy, with you all, is really a blessing to me. So he will not allow you to, the other thing is, he will not allow you to see yourself as small. He refuses to see you as small. He has said that to me so many times. Why do you make God so small? And my response would be, I don't understand. I'm not making God small. And he would say, are you not a direct reflection? Are you not made in his image? Are you not a walking expression of the divine? And you can't argue with that. You especially can't argue with Metatron about that. I wouldn't recommend it. There's no punishment. It's just, and I say that in a joking way, because he's just got that kind of energy that just doesn't take, the ego can't be in the same place, like, and it's been kind of comical to me, especially over the last couple of years, as I've really dug in these last 5, 6, 7 years, to heal and release and grow, and expand, and to finally, say enough is enough. I don't want to live like this anymore. I want different, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes, whatever it means. And it's really been kind of comical, because he just has a really kind of funny energy, without meaning to be. It's comical to me, but he has this way, this kind of roundabout way of helping you to see yourself through the eyes of Source, and see yourself through the eyes of the divine, because he just will not. There's no room for it in the space with his energy. He will not allow you to see yourself as small. And that's a neat thing. It really is a neat thing. And he's calling us today to really go big, to not be small, to not to not see ourselves as not able or not capable, because he wouldn't be calling us to do this. He wouldn't be. He's he's telling me right now in this moment. This was actually not. This is in the moment happening. He's telling me, I would. Do you think that I would ask you to do something that I know that you were not capable of doing? I mean, he's just kind of got this like, that would be dumb. Why would I do that? I wouldn't do that. So that's the kind of energy I'm talking about that I find comical. But it's so true. It's so true because, and then there, like, when you kind of, I mean, it sounds kind of funny in the moment, and I'm making a little bit of a joke about it, but when you really like sit with that, it's like the Archangel Metatron, whole legion of angels, Source, the Ascended Masters, my higher self, they don't have any doubt, no doubt whatsoever that we can do this, that I can do this. We can do this as a collective, that you can do this as an individual, that we can do it as a collective. They have no doubt. Otherwise, they wouldn't waste their time giving it. That would be cruel, to ask us to do something that they knew we weren't capable of doing, to be like setting us up for failure, And they just don't operate like that. They don't roll like that. And so, when those kind of things hit me, like, well, who am, like, why am I doubting myself? Why am I doubting myself? If there's an entire legion of angels and source of all creation and the Ascended Masters, Jesus, and they've all gone all in, saying there's not a chance that we can't do this. They know we can. And so that helps me, put things in perspective when I have like those kind of aha moments like that, where things, really come together in a kind of it's like a simple way of him presenting it, but it affects me in a very deep and profound way, where I'm then left sitting with that, going, I can do this. They wouldn't ask me to do something that I couldn't, that they knew I could not do. I can do this. And so then, like, you kind of start being like, yeah, I can do this. And then it's neat how he works with you to build your confidence, and help you to either rebuild, or if you're building it for the very first time. For me, it was building it for the very first time. Your self-confidence and your self-worth, and really seeing yourself as a very powerful, very capable, very worthy being. And he will remind you just how strong you are, and just how capable you are, just how powerful you are, and it will empower you if you allow that to hit you. Be open and allow that energy of working with him to do its thing. It will really, really, really build you up in a really incredible way. And in a way that once it's there, like it can't be shaken. It's solid. It's solid. It's not a facade. It's not, you're not lying to yourself. You're not, it's good stuff. It's the kind of stuff you can really build your way forward on, and build a really peaceful, really solid, really steady place within. And then your focus becomes less and less on what's going on, what's playing out, like in the peripheral, what's playing out, it's not that you're tuned out to it, or that you're, not compassionate, or not, you're not like living in a delusional reality or anything. You have an awareness and an understanding and a safety that you have built from within yourself, so that when the storms do come, you're not gonna, be tossed all around and snapped at the first, really rough gust of wind. You're not going to be snapped in two. You're going to be able to bend and move and at the same time hold steady in your rooting and withstand all the storms that are going on around you. So I wanted to share with you a little bit about what it's like to work with Metatron, so that you would kind of have an idea of that. It's an incredible energy to work with. It really, really is, and it is like deeply soul evolving kind of energy. So let's talk for a second about a couple of the things that are going on with the astrology, because this is, and I'll preface it with this: you may start to wonder, where is she going with all this? Why, like, how does it make sense that all these things have anything to do with what is going on here on Earth, or what is going on in my personal life? And I thought that too, as the information started coming in, and again, Metatron helped me to, it evolved throughout the week, and he helped me to really piece it all together and bring it all together. So it's dynamic. I'll go ahead and tell you that to start with, but if you'll hang with me, we're going to see how this all comes together to make a really, really, really beautiful picture. So the first thing is there's a lunar eclipse on July 4th or the 5th, depending on where in the world that you are. Now, the lunar eclipse is going to be occurring over the United States. And it's going to be occurring on the 4th of July over the United States. So I don't need to tell you how significant and profound that is. We're going to be experiencing, we're going to be we are going to have highlighted for us, these, as the old way continues to fall, we're going to have highlighted for us themes around our personal and physical safety. It falls in the sign of Capricorn. The last eclipse that we had was in the sign of Cancer, if you remember. And so it was more of a feeling energy. It was more about our emotional safety. It was, more themes, related to that. And so the Capricorn is going to be a focus. It's going to bring about a focus on themes relating to and triggers, and the ways that all of that manifests, and all of that, but relating to our physical, practical safety. Now, Mars is in its home sign of Aries. That is significant because Mars is, known as the god of war. Aries is a fire sign, and we're getting ready to, toward the end of July, be in Leo season. Okay, so that energy is going to be intense. It's going to ramp up, and it's going to continue to get more and more intense. But and also Mars is staying in Aries for 6 months because it's going to retrograde in its home sign, and it usually does not do that. It usually stays in its home sign for about 6 weeks. So that is very significant. So then when we have an eclipse, the energies that are, everything just gets like magnified with an eclipse, right? Everything just gets like turned up a notch or 2 or 10. So we have to be very aware of the purpose of that energy and the purpose of how that plays out, so that we can stay in a place of higher consciousness, and we can work with the energy instead of being in a place where we feel like we're being taken over by the energy. Mars is the warrior energy. This time, Mars in Aries has a bit of a different energy to it. It's normally we see a lot of themes surrounding like aggression, and it can make people kind of aggressive or hot-headed, or kind of like that. I'm being brought to mind that that movie about the what was it, the Spartans, and they were about to battle the Persians, and they grab their swords and they run on their Sparta. It's kind of got that. I'm laughing at what a funny impersonation that was of a Spartan warrior. But it's kind of got that kind of energy usually associated with it, right? But this time it's a little bit different. It's got a very, and I think maybe that's what I'm starting, that's part of what I'm starting to feel, like the shift in this energy that it's unfamiliar, but it's very interesting. It's and I'm kind of digging it. But it's got this positive initiator energy to it this time, like pushing for change, pushing to like we're gonna make something happen, and not make something happen as in like white knuckle it and force something that is not the right energy or the right thing to do. I'm meaning like there's this huge feeling of momentum behind anything, anything that we want to create, particularly the creative energy, anything that we want to create, anything that we, where we want to make change for the better, where we want to initiate something. And it's got like that energy to it that is almost like I don't know, I'm being shown like a football field, like on a football field when I used to really love watching, I haven't the last couple of years, but I used to really, really, really love to watch Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos. I love to watch football anyway. I like sports very much. But I particularly liked to watch players like Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, or some of the ones that were very unique in their craft, because they exuded kind of this very unique energy, and that's what this Mars in Aries energy is kind of like. It's like nobody thinks that, Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or, those guys, nobody thinks that those are mean, aggressive guys. But they can get some stuff done. When they come, like when their line comes roaring down that field, they mean business. And they'll get some stuff done, and there are many, others like that, but those are the ones that come to mind. I was always a Broncos fan, and my husband was a Patriots fan, so. But we liked those teams in particular and those quarterbacks in particular because of that energy, and we never could quite put words to it, but we both understood why, what it was that we were particularly fascinated by. And that's kind of, I wanted to give you kind of a, something that maybe you could relate to a little easier, to explain to you this Mars in Aries energy. Now, Mars is going to be in Aries, like I said, for 6 months, and it's going to come in contact with 2 different planetary bodies that are going to be significant for what we're talking about today. It's going to come in contact with Chiron, who is, the wounded healer. It kind of brings up particularly like our childhood wounds. And, calls us to heal those, but before we can heal them, they have to come up. And it's also going to come in contact with, actually several times, it's kind of going to do this dance, so to speak, with Eris, who is the sister of Mars. She is known as the goddess of chaos and destruction, and she's also known as the feminine, or the female awakener, for the divine feminine energy. So, those things are going to be very important for how we're going to shape this and start to form where Metatron is asking us to go. There's a train going by. I don't know if y'all can hear that. There's a train. I get so excited. I'm like a little kid when the train goes by. There is a train. I've only been in this where I'm living now. I've only been here since May the 1st. And I'm right in the middle of downtown Frankfort. It's the capital of Kentucky. And there is literally a train, like a train track that goes like what feels to me like an arm's reach from the front door of my building. And I get so excited when it goes by. I grew up living out kind of more in the country in like a rural area, and my grandmother always loved trains, and I didn't ever get what the fascination was with them, and I just had never lived anywhere where they ever went by, and so now every time I hear the train, it goes by a couple of times. It goes by like real early in the morning, and then now. And then it'll go by like at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes if I'm up to get something to drink or eat, or sometimes I'm still working at the computer at that hour, and I hear it and I get so excited like a little kid for the train, and I want to ride on it so bad. I want to. Oh, now that's my next thing. I'm determined to ride on a train now. So anyway, where were we at? Oh, okay. So now we're shaping together. This is starting to take shape as to how this is all going to start to come together. So the significance of Mars being god of war, being its home sign of Aries, which is a fire sign, and having this contact with Chiron, the wounded healer, and then also Eris. What I was shown is that this is going to really trigger the divine masculine, because the divine masculine has really been through it, really been through it. A lot of the themes that have been, really the focal themes, that the divine masculine has come, that come in to heal in this lifetime, have been some pretty rough stuff. A lot of it has been, there's been and I've seen it I have met and gotten really close with so many people over these last 5 or 6 years on this journey, and there is an overriding theme and a like a line of connection, where the divine masculine has experienced an incredible amount of abuse during childhood, and long periods of abuse, like from like little, like babies, little tiny things, just on up through, and then it didn't really stop as they got older. It just was done in different ways. And so the divine masculine has come in to heal a pretty big wound, because and the other underlying commonality is that it's been, those wounds have been, inflicted in a lot of cases by the mother or the mother figure. And so what has happened is, the divine masculine has had a mother or mother figure who was expressing a very adulterated, a very false, a very shadow, feminine energy, and it really distorted the view and the sense of safety and the ability to trust, and that has caused a distortion in the way that they have viewed the feminine energy, that it can't be trusted, it's not safe, it's and so then when that energy is expressed in a false, adulterated, very shadow way, and young boys, young men experience that, then they are not able to embody or express themselves as an authentic divine masculine, because they don't feel safe. That's the biggest part of it. That's not a safe thing to do. And so then that has caused a lot of distortion, and has really left the divine has really left the Divine Masculine very confused and feeling very, very broken. Now, before we get too much into that, I also want to share with you that what came through was, and this made a lot of sense to me, and it's very very much this topic is very close to my heart, and it helped me gain a much greater sense of perspective and compassion. And so I'm going to ask you to really just take a second and take a breath and just kind of choose that feeling of compassion as we get ready to kind of move forward and put some more of this together. So what I was shown is that, with the significance of, Mars being this warrior, the god of war, is our military, the men and women also, but I'm not leaving out the women, the service women by any means. But I'm focusing on the. Please understand that I'm focusing on the masculine right now, because of how it was shown to me, and then I'm gonna bring it all full circle. So, as the old paradigm falls, and as we have this eclipse over the United States on the 4th of July, and we have Mars, god of war, going to be coming into contact, in his home sign of Aries, fire energy, moving into Leo season, more fire energy, and we're going to have this contact with Chiron, the wounded healer. And so what I was shown was the effect of war, the overwhelming number of cases of PTSD, the overwhelming number of suicides. We have more lives that are lost to suicide than are lost in the war, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. There are more lives lost to suicide. Men that go over there and fight and do what do what they've signed up to do and make it through war, and then come home, and the effects of war and the effects of, it's a very complex thing, and it becomes too much to bear, and we just our healthcare system just hasn't had an answer for it, and there are a lot of families, a lot of children, a lot of wives, a lot of moms, sisters, brothers, as well as the service person, themselves, who are really dealing with a lot, because of the after effects of war. And so what I was shown is that as more things come to light, more truth is exposed, more more awareness, more light is shed on the truth, what the truth has been, and these divine masculines, these divine masculine warriors that have suffered so much. It's, as those truths come to light, it's going to cause a triggering within them. And what the seed of that is, and this is what I was shown that was so profound, what the seed of that is far deeper and far, more embedded and far, far deeper in there than what they experienced in the wartime. What's going to be triggered and what they're going to be brought face to face with, and what is going to be triggered in their consciousness and in their awareness, is that most of the young men that sign up for the military have had very abusive, not good home life situations. And so that is definitely going to be brought up as this is triggered through the light being shed on the truth being exposed, those kind of things. And as that is triggering within them, it is also going to trigger the seed, the root behind why they were even in that war in the first place, meaning why they had ever even signed up for the military in the first place. I talked to a gentleman about a year and a half ago that runs a phenomenal camp with the Chris Kyle. I think it's got the backing of the Chris Kyle Family Foundation, and he's a very, very, very nice man. And he talked to me about their camp and that they do for PTSD, for combat veterans, and he said, we get to the stuff beneath the stuff. We get to the stuff under the stuff. He said, because you got the stuff, and he had this real northern, accent, but I mean, he was just so passionate about. It was just really a great thing that they're doing. But he said, what we're realizing is that nobody can. They're not having success with treating this combat PTSD because they're not getting to the stuff that's under the stuff. Because yes, we went to war. Yes, we saw horrible things. Yes, we had to do horrible things. Yes, there's an after effect of that. But what we really sit with is why we were even over there in the first place. And he was sharing with me that, through these camps, they're starting to realize, that's why, so many of these men become alcoholics or have, really battle opiates or, addiction problems. And then, so many of them end up taking their lives. And so that is going to be triggered and brought up for healing. Okay, so now we can start to see why the astrology is so important and why all of these things, even though it's complex and it's dynamic, but it's all working together for a very a very clear purpose and a very deliberate purpose. And so if we can stay in that place where we see the purpose behind it, then we can see where we can help. We can see where we can tap into that energy and really bring about a change and some healing and make a new way forward. Okay. So the second piece of that is, as Mars, in Aries comes in contact, it's going to come in contact several times. Actually, it's going to kind of, like I said, do this dance with Eris. And the message that I got was that the false feminine energy is the seed and the one of the primary causes of what the divine masculine is struggling so much with right now. And to bring that full circle and to bring transmutation and healing to that, what is going to help heal that the most is the authentic divine feminine. Okay. So I'm going to speak to my divine feminines out there. And I want to encourage you to step up and step into that divine feminine energy and hold that space, even when it feels like you can't hold it any longer. You ask Source for help, ask the angels for help, and they will give you access to what is already there within you, all that you need to hold that space. They've held the space for us to heal. See, that's what a lot of us don't understand. I was really thinking about this as Metatron was working with me about it, or working through it with me, is that the divine masculine has really, overall has put his stuff on hold so that we could go first and we could heal ours first. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for doing that. Were it not for the strong divine masculine energy in my life, these last 5, 6, 7 years, as we've gone through this awakening and this process, I couldn't have done it. I don't even want to think about where I would be or what kind of shape I would be in. And that space was held for me, and collectively they've held that space and let us go first. And so as we are stepping up and stepping into our strength, and the focus and the energy is a focus on the divine feminine energies, like we talked about with the Cancer in the sign of Cancer at the solstice, and that it was asking us to turn toward that divine feminine energy. So my divine feminines out there, we've got to step into that and step into it strong and hold that space for the divine masculine, because the divine masculine is hurting and is confused, and whether they will say it or not, is terrified because they feel vulnerable, and when this is triggered, it's really gonna blow that wide open. And the divine masculine needs us as divine feminine to hold that space, stay steady, stay strong, be steadfast, be nurturing, be unwavering, and love unconditionally. To be that matriarch, to step into that role that says, my love is here, and it's unwavering, like you do with your children, you know, where you you say, like I have said to my children, there's nothing that you could tell me that would make me not love you, and there's nothing that you could do that would make me not love you, or there's just nothing. And so it's that kind of steadfast energy that I'm talking about, that is just unwavering and steady and just finds a way to carry on and finds a way to be that space where the divine masculine can find safety and comfort, and where there is no shame, and where there is no disrespect, and there's no seeing him as anything less than because he's having challenges, because he's having a moment. That he has to know that you still see him as that strong divine masculine, even not even in the face of, because of his ability to be vulnerable. There's strength in that, and we have to let them know that, and we have to anchor that, so that we anchor the authentic divine feminine energy, which will, what I was shown is that when we do that, and we show the divine masculine, there's a part of your consciousness, there's your authentic self knows this energy, loves this energy, wants this energy, needs this energy, and knows that it's good and authentic and can be trusted and is safe. And as he begins to accept that, it is going to be so freeing for him. It is going to be so freeing for the divine masculine, and will bring about so much healing and so much relief. I just keep getting the word relief, because they have been carrying so much for so long that most of us have, most never even know about, because, they just carry on. They just carry on, and they keep doing, and it's just, they can't anymore. It's time for it to heal. It's time for it to be released. And the only way that it's going to be able to be released is for it to be triggered, because they're so, they can feel it. They know that there's, even if they can't verbalize it, they know that it's big, and they know that it feels like, when they even tap into a little bit of it, it feels like it's going to swallow them up whole, because it threatens their sense of safety. It makes them feel like that little boy again that was not safe, and had, the one person that was supposed to protect them and hold space for them and not let anything bad happen to them was the one that it was at the hand of. And so we have to collectively, as divine feminine, anchor that energy in, and say, and even if you don't have a male partner, even if you don't have a son, even if you don't have, whatever your situation is, I want you to find a place where you can connect with that energy within yourself, because we all have, both the divine masculine and the divine feminine within ourselves. And remember what that authentic divine masculine energy feels like. and let that give you the place from where you can say, I will hold space for this. I will hold space for you to heal. Whoever you are. I know that there, you just say, if you can just say to yourself when you meditate or when you send that energy, deliberately send that energy out. I may not know you personally in this lifetime, but my soul knows yours. We are soul family, and I'm here to help. I'm here to stand strong. You're safe here. You're safe with this authentic divine feminine. And so, what was the seed for this terrible, terrible hurt and trauma and just pain that the divine masculine has been carrying for so long now. It's such a beautiful thing that the authentic version of that is what I'm being told, what I'm being shown by Metatron, that will be a very powerful force in helping him to heal it. And it's it's their time, it's their turn, it's their it's their they I don't even want to say I don't know how to say this. They've done so much for us, to allow us to whether we realize it or not, we really sit and think about this. They allow us to, to be able to, have a podcast and talk to you guys in this way, to be able to have a voice, to be able to speak publicly, to be able to lead, to be able to do a lot of the things that we're doing right now. And so now it's our time to hold that space and anchor that in for them and give them that safe place where they're not judged, where they're not shamed, where they're not made to feel any worse than they're already feeling. They're just accepted and loved. And it's steadfast. And it's authentic, divine feminine energy of being intuitive, being nurturing, being steadfast, being creative, and allowing him to have his process and being steadfast through that. So I think that's incredibly beautiful. And I actually think that we're going to stop right there. I'm going to break this up into two. This was originally going to be a one whole message, but that's a lot for us to chew on. That's a lot for us to think about, and a lot for us to, really let soak in right there. And so we're going to go ahead and stop right here. I think this is a beautiful place to stop and take a pause and take a break and kind of let that sit for a day or two. And then I will come back and share with you the messages that have come through the cards that relate to all of this as to more of the the practical steps that Metatron is asking us to take and is showing us to take to be able to bring all of this about and bring all of this beautiful healing energy to do the things to give that the most momentum, and the most support that we can. So thank you guys for being here. I'm very excited. I'm very humbled by what Metatron is bringing through and what he's sharing with me. And again, I want to thank the Divine Masculine. Thank you for signing up to come in and do such brave work. And thank you for being patient with us as we Divine Feminines have lashed out at you and not understood our own wounds, and you've been steadfast there for us to help us give us the space to heal, and we'd like to offer that to you now. I love each and every one of you. I'm sending each and every one of you many blessings, lots of love, and lots of light. I hope that you have a wonderful evening, and we will talk again very soon.